There are two very big problems, challenges, crises happening in the real estate market. One's already happening and one's about to happen. And that means that there's an opportunity in solving these problems, which means there are some people that are going to get very rich and be very successful in solving these problems. And one of them is not going to take a lot of capital. It's not going to take a lot of money to be able to offer a solution. And that spells a great opportunity for the right entrepreneur. And that's only one of the solutions to one of the problems. And I'm going to be showing you two problems or challenges or crises in the real estate market and two opportunities for the right entrepreneurs. Let me run my errand. When I get back, I'll get into the office and we'll talk about it. Welcome to the Retired Banker Show. I am James, the Retired Banker. Let's talk real estate. Let's talk about turmoil and some challenges in the real estate market. And anytime there is a challenge in any kind of market, that also spells opportunity. So there are two things happening or about to happen in one instance in the real estate market, and that is going to represent an opportunity. If you're thinking about the problem, the challenge, and the solution. Remember, business, being an entrepreneur, being successful is all about solutions to problems. Before we get into it, let me just tell you that I really highly suggest that you hit the like button on this video, that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because starting in about a week from today, I'm going to be doing a series of videos I have never done, and it's going to be exciting. So stay tuned. But let's get into real estate. Let's talk about a trend that is happening and a problem that is happening because of the current situation. Some think that the border situation is not going to affect them because they don't live in California, they don't live in Arizona, New Mexico, or Texas. They're even saying, okay, I don't live in New York, I don't live in Chicago, I don't live in Denver. It's not going to affect me. Well, check this out. This article, very, very sobering and eye-opening from the Western Journal, has to do with squatters. Expert on squatters warns nation, we're in for a nightmare once illegal aliens discover housing law loopholes. Now, in places like California and other blue places, the landlord has very limited rights compared to tenants. There are some places like New York, California, and other places throughout the nation that are very, very friendly and side more with tenant rights than they do with landlord rights. And I'm telling you, this is very frustrating. I have owned a few properties in California that are rental properties, and I'll never do it again. I now own rental property outside the United States, also in Utah, and I have let's say, interests in other properties in other states, but not in California when it comes to income producing property of the residential type. And here is why. You just can't kick squatters out in many of these states. And when these illegal aliens who have no money, have no credit, and can't rent an apartment because they're here illegally and there's no credit for them to run, once they get a wind of the loopholes and the advantages of just squatting, we're in for a world of hurt. Not to mention, there's a lot of, you can call them activists, hacktivists, that are telling and helping many of these illegal immigrants to game the system and take advantage of the laws. And this is incredible what's happening right now in this realm. America's housing law loopholes are just big enough for illegal immigrants to crawl through, according to one expert who warns that tenant rights laws make it hard to dislodge squatters. We have masses coming in. They're going to be looking for places to live, and we don't have the housing for them. If they're coming in with no money, they can't rent the traditional way, says Flash Shelton, founder of the United Handyman Association and SquatterHunters.com. according to Fox News. Shelton used innovative tactics to dislodge squatters from his mother's house in 2019 and has emerged as an advocate to help others facing a difficult choice of ridding a property of people who choose to remain. Now, do you think that people who entered our country illegally without coming through a port of entry or taking advantage of these crazy current laws, you think they're going to have any qualms about squatting and illegally entering a home? And then you're not going to be able to get rid of them very, very easily because this is a state issue. The map of tenants' rights laws is varied because it is a local or state issue. Many states require a civil suit process to evict someone, which is burdensome and time-consuming. Once illegal immigrants get rid of the wind of the rights they have as squatters, our situation is going to go beyond control, Shelton said. Shelton noted that squatters are already emboldened by local laws, adding, "What are we going to do later when we have millions of people squatting in this country?" Look, if you've, I don't know if any of you within the sound of my voice lived during the Great Depression, because that was 90 odd years ago. Perhaps some of you did, but you were very little and didn't remember. But if you've read literature, I mean, I'm thinking of Grapes of Wrath. What was it? The Hoovervilles? I can't remember exactly, but you go back and look at these shanty towns that were popped up overnight. People had no place to go, no place to live. They were just in desperation would set up these ad hoc communities and homes. We see that throughout blue cities with the homeless encampments. Well, the smart people are going to say, why live in a homeless encampment when I can just go in this abandoned home or use some other means to be in there? And then the laws are on my side. In some places, they can't even turn off the utilities. That's against the law to turn off the utilities on tenants, even if those tenants are not real tenants and squatters. So now they have free housing and they have free utilities, water, electricity, gas, and it's on the dime of the landlord. This problem, I think, is going to get worse. Sheldon said the housing picture will grow worse when not only do we have a border issue that we can't even figure out, but now we have people that are being mentally, financially, physically messed with because they lost their homes to all of these people. Regardless of how you feel politically or morally about the situation, put that aside and just think about the masses. Almost 7.3 million illegal immigrants have entered the U.S. since the beginning of 2021. We have irresponsibly opened a door for a whole lot of people to come into this country. We aren't prepared to deal with them. What's the negative for these people to then start taking over these houses? It's going to be a nightmare scenario. Okay, so that's the problem. What's the opportunity here? The opportunity is, like Mr. Shelton here, is figuring out how to assist landlords in getting rid of squatters and providing a business, a service to rid squatters. Now, there's all kinds of tactics that are very different, and you got to be bold. One of them I saw was the person sent, there were some squatters in the home, and then someone went to the home with the squatters and wouldn't leave, which is pretty bold. This person was pretty bad A, and because these could be dangerous. They could be drug addicts. These could be prostitutes. These could be all kinds of, not just desperate people looking for a home, but, drug addicts that often are not in their right mind, or dangerous criminals running enterprises and prostitution rings out of these places. But the guy went in and he stayed there. He got one of the rooms and he squatted on the squatters. And then he was very annoying. He was very loud and what have you. And he forced the people out. Then he changed the locks on them. Then he did something where he established his right as a squatter. And then the other people were not able to come in. And then he was able to give the property back to the actual owner. Now, I'm just giving you a high level of what he did here. I don't remember all the specifics of it. And once again, that's going to vary from state to state, city to city. But that definitely is a business opportunity for someone who is bold and forward thinking. Just putting it out there, not a business I'm interested in, but maybe something that you might want to look into it. I have a friend, Adam, from years ago that I used to do construction financing for spec homes him and his partners would build. 3, 4, 5, 6 homes at a time, a few $1,000,000 I would bring into financing. I had my own firm in which I did that. When Katrina came around, he found a business opportunity in going and, these flooded homes and destroyed homes, going in and securing those homes for the banks and other owners of these property and, cleaning them out and what have you. And he stopped building spec homes because he found this other business opportunity and he parlayed that into other opportunities. So I'll just put it out there. This is a problem coming up. If you have a solution for landlords, that is a business opportunity. In addition, I do want to point out that coming up with a solution to help landlords get squatters out is not necessarily going to be a capital intensive venture. In other words, you may not need a lot of money to get a business like this started. It may just be sweat equity, finding the landlords, just, doing your due diligence and research on legal ways that you can get squatters out, and then doing the thing yourself. I mean, it might take a little bit of bravery and a brass pair to maybe go in and squat on the squatters, but that seems like it's going to be more labor intensive to start than capital intensive. And it's maybe if you are that brave person, I'm not talking about hiring someone to do it. I'm thinking maybe someone might want to start doing this themselves and then training other people to do it and build a business around that. But it seems like if you know how to get squatters out, you could do that yourself and use your sweat equity, use your own labor to get the business started. But it potentially could be lucrative, especially if you start building a business model and training other people to work with you to offer this service. Food for thought. Now let's talk about the second thing that's happening in the real estate market. Let's move away from residential real estate, and now let's talk about commercial real estate, or CRE. And what we're seeing here is several weeks ago, the Wall Street Journal had this article, Offices Around America Hit a New Vacancy Record. The last quarter showed almost 20% of office space that isn't leased, and that's the highest since Moody's started keeping track of this information back in the late 70s. So here is another problem happening, but now in commercial real estate, which also is going to present an opportunity for smart and bold entrepreneurs. Let's get into this. America's offices are emptier than at any point in at least 4 decades, reflecting years of overbuilding and shifting work habits that were accelerated by the pandemic. A staggering 19.6% of office space in major U.S. cities wasn't leased as of the fourth quarter, according to Moody's Analytics. That's up from 18.8% a year earlier. That is slightly above the previous record of 19.3 set in 1986 and 1991, and the highest number since at least 1979, which is as far back as Moody's data goes. The new record shows how remote work has upended the office market, but that is only part of the story. So we know that people are working from home, remote working, and that got turbocharged by necessity during the pandemic and the lockdowns, and people are kind of reticent. They don't really want to go back if they don't have to a workspace. Some smart companies are realizing that yes, there's synergy having people in the same office, but also there's a whole swath of workers that are more efficient working remotely. They don't have to commute. They can get more work done, and there's more productivity because they have a happier workforce. And of course, they save themselves the overhead of having office space. So that was, let's say about a month ago in the Wall Street Journal. But check this out. Today, was this today? This might have been, this is today in Zero Hedge. Who could be next? Top Canadian pension fund sells Manhattan office tower for $1, sparking fire sale panic. And the article, not overly technical, but it talks about how these pension funds in Canada were investing in real estate and commercial real estate, and they invested in Manhattan. Now we know that what's been happening in Manhattan, New York, they were really draconian when it came to the lockdown and the pandemic regulations and rules. And then now they're not doing themselves any favor with this multi-million-dollar fraud case they have against former President Donald Trump and all this interest. Take politics out of it. Do you really want to do business in a city where if you're on the wrong side of politics, they're going to go after you and your business? There have been plenty of business people that are now on the record saying that will have nothing to do with New York City or New York State. But it's not just New York where this is happening. But this particular story is very interesting. According to Bloomberg, Canadian pension funds, which until recently have been among the world's most prolific buyers of real estate, are finally realizing that gravity exists, that it's not always going to go up and sometimes it's going to go down. And so the largest among them is taking steps to limit its exposure to the most beleaguered commercial property type, office buildings. Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, that's a mouthful, has recently done 3 deals at deeply discounted prices. It sold a pair of Vancouver towers, so obviously that is over in Canada, in British Columbia, but also a business park in Southern California, and now a Manhattan office tower redevelopment project. The Canadian asset manager sold its stake for just $1. That probably means that whoever came in took over the debt service on it and what have you, and they just didn't realize a profit. They just wanted to get out of it. But this is a trend that is sparking fear. Maybe not fear, but trepidation, and is alarming for people in the real estate market. And once again, we saw that fourth quarter of last year, 19.6% lease vacancies. And it's rising year over year, and it's the highest since Moody started keeping track back in 1979. So, James, where's the opportunity? Well, here's the opportunity. There are 2 things happening, right? This is happening, but what's happening on the residential real estate side? Is there not a lack of inventory? Well, if you can figure out how to tap into converting some of this commercial space, this office space, into condos or residential, that's a business opportunity. Now, these business opportunities I'm talking about here are not for everyone, but perhaps this will spark an interest in someone out there. Maybe one of you will be able to figure out a way to help landlords get rid of squatters. Maybe some of you, this sparks something in you. Maybe you do have a business idea on how you can help some of these business and this commercial real estate be transformed into residential real estate. I'm just putting ideas out there, but the overall lesson should be no matter whether these 2 industries or these 2 problems or challenges in real estate are something that you can take advantage of or not. I'm trying to help you with your thinking. No matter what's going on, there's opportunity. Anytime there's a problem, bringing a solution, even if it's a niche solution, maybe not going to help everybody, but there's a small segment of the real estate market that you can help. Landlords with squatters, or commercial real estate owners with converting that over into residential real estate. Anytime there's a problem and you've got a solution, you can make money and you can build a business around it. What are your thoughts? Please put it down below. This is James, a retired banker. I enjoy you being here, listening to me. But what I enjoy more is hearing how you have taken problems in the marketplace, brought a solution, and have built a business around it. I'd like to hear about it down in the comment section. Until the next one, ciao, goodbye. God bless.